this stack doesn't fall, I'm a sinner. This is the box it's gonna get out of the stack and might fall. So when it falls, that's when I'll stop reading the book. But you guys enjoy. I know reading in the dark is bad for your eyes, but I'll make out the words. Who said it French Dr. Alexander Graham Bell, to whom the author owes credit for most of the introduction. Of the men named, perhaps Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie should be acknowledged as having contributed most toward the building of this course, for the reason that it was Andrew Carnegie who first suggested the writing of the course, and Henry Ford whose life work supplied much of the material out of which source. Number 14, Andrew Carnegie, responsible for beginning of Law of Success course. Number 15, Law of Success training helps a group of salespeople earn $1 billion. Number 16, so-called spiritualism explained. Number 17, organized effort, the source of all power. Number 18, how to analyze yourself. Number 19, how a small fortune was made from an old, worked-out, worthless farm. Number 20, there's a gold mine in your present occupation if you will follow directions and dig for it. 21, number 21, there's plenty of ready capital for development of any practical idea or plan you may create. Number 22, some reasons why people fail. Number 23, why Henry Ford is the most powerful man on earth, and how others may use the principles which give him his power. Number 24, why some people antagonize others without knowing it. Number 25, the effect of sexual contact as a mind stimulant and health builder. Number 26, what happens in the religious orgy known as the revival. Number 27, what we have learned from nature's Bible. Number 28, chemistry of the mind, how it will make or destroy you. Number 29, what is meant by the psychological movement in salesmanship. Number 30, the mind becomes devitalized, how to recharge create a definite plan for breaking those weaknesses. For bridging those weaknesses. The most successful men and women on earth had to correct certain weak points in their personalities before they began to succeed. The most outstanding of these weaknesses, which stand between men and women in success, are intolerance, cupidity, greed, jealousy, suspicion, revenge, egotism, conceit, the tendency to reap where they have not sown, and the habit of spending more than they earn. All of these common enemies of mankind, and many more not here mentioned, are covered by the law of success course in such a manner that any person of reasonable intelligence may master them with but little effort or inconvenience. You should know at the very outset that the law of success course has long since passed to the experimental state, that it already has to its credit a record of achievement that is worthy of serious thought and analysis. You should know also that the law of success course has been examined and endorsed by some of the most practical minds of this generation. The law of success course was first in use as a lecture and was delivered by its author in practically every city and in many of the small localities throughout the United States. Over a period of more than 7 years, perhaps you were one of the many hundreds of thousands of people who heard this course. Who heard this lecture? Sorry, not course. During these lectures, the author had assistants located in the audiences for the purpose of interpreting the reaction of those who heard the lecture, and in this manner, he learned exactly what effect it had upon people. As a result of this study and analysis, many changes were made. The first big victory was gained for the law of success philosophy when it was used by the author as the basis of a course with which 3,000 men and women were trained as a sales army. Excuse me, sorry. The majority of these people were without previous experience of any sort in the field of selling. Through this training, they were enabled to earn more than $1 million for themselves and paid the author $30,000 for his services, covering a period of approximately 6 months. The individuals and small groups of salespeople who have found success through the aid of this course are too numerous to be mentioned in this introduction, but the number is large and the benefits that they derived from the course were definite. The law of success philosophy was brought to the attention of the late Don R. Mellett, former publisher of the Canton, Ohio Daily News, who formed a partnership with the author of the course and was preparing to resign as a publisher of the Canton Daily News and take up the business arrangement of the author's affairs when he was assassinated on July 16, 1926. Prior to his death, Mr. Mellett had made arrangements with Judge Albert H. Carey, who was then chairman of the board of the United States Steel Corporation, to present the law of success course to every employee of the Steel Corporation at a total cost of something like $150,000. This plan was halted because of Judge Carey's death, but it proves that the author of the law of success has produced an educational plan of an enduring nature. Judge Carey was eminently prepared to judge the value of such a course, and the fact that he analyzed the law of success philosophy and was preparing to invest a huge sum of $150,000 in it is proof of the soundness of all that is said in belief of the course.